As we develop software with AI agents, it becomes increasingly important that we have production-like data available to those agents. And a lot of that is solved with Postgres branching. We can create a bunch of branches that those agents can use to get that production-like data. But of course, those branches persist until we delete them specifically. So what I want to show you is something called Xata Scratch. What this will allow for us to do is to create a temporary branch that works as long as we need it to. So say, for instance, we wanted to get into the Postgres client or psql, I can create a Scratch database to do exactly that. And of course, once I create this Scratch database, it will be available instantly, and then it will also be available inside of our console. And in this case, this Scratch branch is coming from another branch, which is pretty nice. So once I go back into my app itself and my Postgres connection, I can run the various queries I might want to, like the database size. And as you see here, it happened that fast for a nearly 2 terabyte database. Now, of course, using psql is not the only way to do the Scratch branch. You can actually do it with just the command right in line, and you can run it just like that. Now, this is obviously very useful if you have automated pipelines that need to use this data. So let's say, for instance, you have a ETL process that's going to grab the data from the production database and maybe charge the client for how much data they're currently using. Another option is, of course, using that Scratch database for JSON. So we can actually output JSON with that same idea. So you don't necessarily have to have one single response from the query, but you can have a lot in there. So we could see that in a lot of different ways. One of those ways would be to, use different queries for the Scratch database itself for this one in particular. And there are a lot of them that you could run. And you can see what I'm doing here is creating a new branch, running a query, removing that branch, creating a new branch, running a query, removing that branch. And we can do this because of Xata's platform, because of the fact that we can have thousands of branches to run all of these different queries, and each one of those Scratch branches has a different ID and thus a different branch itself. It's a pretty powerful way to use a Postgres database. If you've never tried it, I recommend that you do.